host, Todd Huff. Email, todd@toddhuffshow.com, facebook.com/toddhuffshow for those that want to watch the program live or on demand. I kind of sigh as we start the program this morning because we haven't specifically talked about this at this point. And today we're going to talk about the Breonna Taylor case in Louisville, Kentucky. And this is a difficult thing to get into. There is tragedy. This is just something that's bad all the way around. But there's also some things that are happening that are completely irresponsible. There's some things that are happening that are not reflective of reality, I guess. They're not reflective of what actually happened. There's also differences of opinion, which is certainly understandable. But in a nutshell, just to quickly, summarize, there was a grand jury that convened and reviewed the case surrounding Breonna Taylor's tragic death in Louisville, and they decided to proceed with one set of charges, which included reckless endangerment by one of the officers, and I'll kind of get into that. There is, and then beyond that, I'm watching video now, B-roll footage on Fox in the background here, where a U-Haul truck rolls up into Louisville yesterday, I believe even before, I could be wrong, before the final grand jury findings were announced. It was, if not, it was really close to that time. It had clearly been, they were preparing for riots as they had signs and shields that came in this U-Haul vehicle in Louisville. And so, of course, last night as well, 2 officers have been shot. So we've reached an incredibly volatile situation, and unfortunately, none of these cases we're no longer allowed to look at them, just upon their own merits. Every case now that is cited as part of the example of that the Black Lives Matter movement cites as evidence of police and society basically having 2 systems of justice, they all become intertwined, and so this just becomes difficult on a lot of levels. And so I want to play to start this out a soundbite from Joy Reid. Joy Reid is a radical leftist. She's a commentator on MSNBC, although I just repeated myself there. She is explaining from her perspective what this ruling, what the grand jury's findings, the decisions that grand jury made. And the grand jury is by nature, there's protection for secrecy for those who are involved, and there's been some comments made by the family attorney, Benjamin Crump, that really call into question some things that have been part of our system for a long time. But people don't know these things in a lot of instances, and so it sounds like evidence is trying to be withheld, and there's still confusion about facts. I mean, this is, I think any reasonable, rational human being could agree that this is a tragic set of circumstances. So, and with the incredibly tragic and sad outcome, the loss of Breonna Taylor. And so I guess to summarize, before I play Joy Reid here, Breonna Taylor's ex-boyfriend, the police were, he was believed an alleged drug dealer. And so now it's her ex-boyfriend, but police had evidence that he had been to the house as early as January. This event, I believe, took place in March, the tragic shooting. So police were trying to serve a series of warrants on this alleged drug dealer who was the ex-boyfriend of Breonna Taylor, but whom they had seen at her apartment in recent months. And so they got a search warrant. The search warrant was originally, was actually, they were approved for a no-knock search warrant, but police said that they did, in fact, knock. They knocked and identified themselves, although there's confusion, uncertainty. Breonna Taylor and her boyfriend at the time of the shooting were in the apartment where the search warrant was served. It was her search warrant, her apartment, and her boyfriend at the time was there, and he says he'd never heard the police knock and identify themselves. So they were sleeping. It was something like 12:30 in the morning. The police say they knocked, no response. So they grabbed the battering ram, or the big device that knocks open doors. They busted the door open. Breonna Taylor's boyfriend assumed, or wasn't sure, thinking it was her ex-boyfriend, grabs his handgun, he says, and fires off a shot, striking one of the officers. Officers return fire with a flurry of, I think I heard 20. I don't know. I think I heard 20 shots. There's some uncertainty in some of these things, but it came from a couple of officers. One officer was outside. He is the one that was charged with reckless endangerment, because he was outside actually firing through, as I understand, again, from what we understand, closed blinds or some such thing. The FBI determined that it was his weapon that killed someone. I believe it was the FBI. The state's investigation could not identify which officer actually fired to kill Breonna Taylor, but she was shot. I've seen 6 or 8 times. 6 or 8 times she was caught effectively in, the police responding and firing to the shot that was fired at them from her boyfriend, and she dies and is pronounced dead on the scene. And so that, again, is just a really quick overview of what happened as we understand it. And so, anyway, that's the evidence. So, that's the case. And so the grand jury was convened. They met, or provided the evidence, and then they made a decision as to whether or not charges would be pursued, and if so, what those charges would be, which officers, if any, would face charges, if and if some would not. And so they decided yesterday that there was one set of charges. Again, it was the charges were they recommended charges be filed against the officer who was firing from outside of the building. I believe some of his shots may have, from what I understand, somebody's shots actually pierced or went into the neighboring apartment, which made it for the grand jury a different set of circumstances, because now they're starting to fire on people not even in that apartment. Of course, then the narrative becomes, if you listen to the family's attorneys, who, by the way, are suffering tremendous loss here. This is absolutely horrible and sad, the circumstances here. But the job here is to determine what the law, what is the law. And as Andy McCarthy pointed out, the law cannot stop every tragic circumstance. There's not always an answer. The question is, did anyone violate the law with what they did? Did anyone do that? And it was the determination of the grand jury that the officer who was firing from outside that was, really participating in their estimation in ways that he shouldn't have been and was endangering other people outside of that room, which of course is terrible to endanger anyone in that room. But we have to be, to me, it's pretty obvious if you're a police officer and you get fired at, you then have a right to fire back to stop the threat. They don't know. I also certainly, without question, understand if you don't know that the police are there, if this is, if this is true, if you just think someone kicked in your door at 12:30 in the morning and you've been asleep and you're concerned already about your girlfriend's ex-boyfriend and what he might do, you know that he's engaged, you believe he's engaged in the selling of drugs, and you think that maybe he's coming to harm you and your girlfriend. I also understand grabbing your gun, and if you don't know, look, he's trying. It's quite reasonable to think he's trying to eliminate what he believes to be a direct threat to him, somebody that's breaking in to harm them, if in fact he did not know that they were officers. So it's understandable, and then once the bullets begin to be fired, it's understandable that someone in that apartment, again, I'm just going through the facts of this and trying to take some of the emotion out of this, because that's part of the problem in this situation is that, you can say that it's certainly tragic that she died, but is it criminal? Is it criminal? And when there's now pressure on grand juries, on prosecutors, in this case, the Attorney General of the state of Kentucky, who took this case over because the local prosecutor claimed drawing a blank on the term, but he basically he couldn't be unbiased. He had a conflict of interest. There we go. So those are the circumstances, and this has been turned into by some that to an argument and to a narrative that said officers effectively targeted someone in a different way because of their race, and they went in prepared to use, some people wanted murder. So if it's murder charges, murder requires, at least the higher degrees of murder, first degree murder requires that you plan it, that it's premeditated. You plan this out. I don't know if anyone was calling for first degree, but they're calling these officers murderers. They're calling them murderers, although I think we can all agree that this is tragic, sad. There could be questions on the no-knock raid situation. That seems fair and reasonable to me, although it appears from what we've known, from what we've found out, that they did knock. But it's also completely understandable. Maybe the individual in the home, her boyfriend, did not hear that. I'm thinking about, my home. Just because someone knocks on the front door and yells police, I don't know in the middle of the night if I would be able to recognize that, especially if you're already a little bit uncertain about her boyfriend coming back and harming her or you or anyone else who may be in that apartment. So it's clearly a very tragic, sad circumstance, regardless of anyone's race, gender, ethnicity. We're all human beings. This is a bad situation. It's bad for the officers. It's bad obviously for Breonna Taylor, her family, her boyfriend, the individual that they were serving the warrant against was not there. Although again, based upon the actual search warrant, they had reason to believe that he had been there. They'd seen him there in recent months. They were given the search warrant. Maybe there's questions as to whether or not that was adequately done. I don't know. Again, we don't know a lot of the information, but to take some of the comments that we hear that fuel this racial tension in this nation, in my mind, is completely inexcusable. I understand people can have different opinions on this, but some of the things that people have concluded here that they're saying that have now become part of this narrative is just, I think incredibly flammable as far as the comments go. They inflame and cause further divisions. Again, the comments and the angst and tensions led to circumstances in the city of Louisville last night that ended up with the shooting of two police officers. People preparing to riot. I mean, there's all different types of people involved in this. You got people who have been fed a series of information that doesn't include the information I just shared. They're basically told that cops knocked on a door. They had the wrong house, which is not true. They went in, didn't identify themselves, which appears to not be true. It appears that they did identify themselves. It doesn't mean that he necessarily heard them or understood that, but the narrative is that they went in with the intent of doing whatever they had to do, even if that meant shoot and kill someone because they were black and their life didn't matter. And that's simply, there's no evidence of that in this case. It's tragic. It's sad. It's horrible. It's horrible. But I think we can say that and still also understand, I would hope, where the grand jury is coming from. But that's not where we are. And it's not where we are because there are people who are leading this movement, who tell us they're trained Marxists, who don't like this country as founded. They hate it. They hate its ideals and principles. They want to see it overturned. They see that there's a way to emotionally manipulate people in these circumstances. It doesn't mean that there's never a case of racism, in law enforcement. But to say that there's systemic problems that, as LeBron James says black Americans are hunted down every day by police, that's what some folks believe this narrative falls into. And so some folks are genuinely scared and afraid because they've, in many cases, not been told the truth. They've been told bits and pieces of truth. Sometimes they've been told outright lies. And again, I think we got to find a way to bring some healing here, because this is tragic on multiple levels. And now, again, we have two other officers that are brought into the fray here through the violence and mayhem that has ensued in the wake of this and the grand jury's findings. So, time for a break. Actually, long in this segment. Come back and share some of these irresponsible comments, including MSNBC's Joy Reid. When we get back, sit tight. You're listening here to the home of conservative, not bitter talk. I am your host, Todd Huff. Back in just a minute.
Listen to Todd's show on your way to work, but want to hear more? Don't miss a beat. Visit toddhuffshow.com/listen to catch the program anytime, anywhere.
All right, here we go. $100 down, $200 back up, $300.
I went to my first firearms auction a few years ago. It was hosted by TJ Freegee, one of my good friends from high school, who is a champion auctioneer and one of the best in the business. In spite of objections from liberal legislators, I walked away with a .22 rifle and a few boxes of ammunition. And I had a great afternoon with my grandpa that I won't soon forget. If you've ever wondered what treasure you could find in an auction, visit FreegeeAuctioneers.com and take a look at their upcoming Central Indiana auction schedule. That's Freegee, Freije, auctioneers.com. Visit FreegeeAuctioneers.com.
Hi, I'm TJ Freegee, owner and lead auctioneer at Freegee & Freegee Auctions and Marketing. I invite you to come see the power of live auctions. It's fast, it's fun, it's transparent, and it's the absolute best way to ensure you get fair market value for your asset today. Get results, go auction.
Business leaders, are your employees satisfied with their jobs? Do they enjoy coming to work and feel valued? Workforce Chaplains can help. Locally owned, we work with organizations to provide holistic care to their employees. I'm Marcus Schrader, president of Workforce Chaplains, and we offer your team a 24/7 support system that positively affects your company's culture and productivity. With our personalized pricing and diverse support system, we handle the issues that you wish you had time for. To learn more, visit us at workforcechaplains.com.
Need to refresh or renovate your commercial space? Call Interior Construction Services today. Providing the highest level of quality construction at a competitive price, our service-minded team is here to deliver the detail-oriented environment you're looking to create on time and on budget. Call us at 317-991-4660 or visit us online at interiorconstruct.com. Interior Construction Services. Progressive, productive, professional.
Geothermal tax credits are back, making this the perfect time to install a new Climate Master geothermal system. Take advantage of this limited time 26% tax credit and begin cutting your heating and cooling bills immediately. Visit indianageothermal.com/info to get your free Climate Master information kit or call 317-829-1490. Visit indianageothermal.com/info or call 317-829-1490. Geothermal, it's cheaper than you think.
Our sense of smell stimulates memory and emotion. A scent can seemingly transport us to another place in time. Homemade, hand-poured candles and melts from spur-of-the-moment creations will give your nose the experience the rest of your body is missing during any season of the year. Crackling firewood, fresh-cut grass, Macintosh apple, and even racing fuel are some of their over 200 engaging fragrances. Visit spurofthemomentcreations.com and enter coupon code TODD at checkout to receive 15% off your order today.
What if your bank treated you like a person instead of an account number? What if you could sit across from the person you are opening an account with or requesting a loan from and have an actual conversation? You may be thinking, Todd, that's crazy talk. Well, not at Citizens Bank. Come visit them in Monrovia and meet Nick Gibson, their new branch manager, and the rest of their staff. Or give them a call at 317-831-0110. Citizens Bank is an equal housing lender and member FDIC.
Did you know that there are 21,000 chimney fires annually? It's one of the reasons why it's so important to have a CSIA certified chimney technician clean and inspect your chimney every year. Keep your family safe by joining our 3-year sweep and inspection plan. And mention Todd to be entered to win $1,000 in cash. Contact Smalling Masonry, a Christian-owned business, at 317-903-8121 to learn more today.
Welcome back. You know, if I sound a little bit different today, I'm going to tell you, it's because I don't like talking about this. I really don't. This is tragic and sad, and there are still. You think about the family who the city or state, I guess the city, has settled civilly with them. $12 million settlement, I guess, with the city over the wrongful death, over the tragic death of Breonna Taylor with her family. They have vowed to make some changes to policing, and maybe that is needed here. My question is, and I'm going to play this soundbite from Joy Reid, MSNBC. But my question here, as you listen to what she's saying, which she at one point says this was a Black Lives Don't Matter ruling. Basically, they just don't care. This is really irresponsible in my estimation. This throws gasoline onto this fire, onto the racial tension, onto the problem. And at some point, if you do this enough, you have to start looking in the mirror if you're some of these talking heads when you see people take further action in the street of Louisville, Kentucky, and harming, attacking, shooting police officers. Because the warrant was granted The warrant was issued. If the warrant was issued, I would like people like Joy Reid to say to me, to explain to us what should have happened at that point. At that particular point, you can question whether the warrant should have been issued. I'm okay with that. Maybe there was, I don't know. I don't know enough about this. I wish more people would say that. I don't know. But the warrant was issued. Maybe it should not have been issued. Maybe the judge should have requested more information before he or she issued said warrant. Maybe based upon the law, it had exactly what was necessary and needed for the warrant to be issued. The question then is, if the warrant is issued, once police do what that warrant tells them to do, what should they have done differently? What could have, I mean, we have to put ourselves in the situation. We have to put ourselves in the situation where you're an officer, you acknowledge, you announce, according to reports, according to testimony, that you are with the police and you're coming in with a search warrant, and then the next thing you know, you're shot at. You don't know if another shot at that point is coming. It's completely reasonable to think that it is at that point. And your job at that point allows you to, any of us, to stop deadly force, which being shot at is someone using deadly force. Now, I'm not saying, please don't read into what I'm saying. I'm not saying that that's not understandable based upon what we know. Maybe it is not understandable. I don't know. But based upon what we know, it's completely reasonable for Breonna Taylor's boyfriend to think that this was her ex-boyfriend, who officers were effectively looking for, either him or things pertaining to him and his alleged drug dealing. So what was supposed to happen at that point once the first shot was fired? What was supposed to happen? I want to play this really quickly. Joy Reid, and I want you to listen to this, and I'd love to ask her what should have happened at this point. Once the warrant was issued, officers now are executing or, doing what the warrant says. A shot is fired in that apartment. What should have happened then? What should have happened then? Listen to what she has to say here.
That apartment is associated with someone who was associated with you. So sorry, if they bust in and they start licking off shots and you get killed, your death is irrelevant to the law in the state of Kentucky. Your death doesn't matter. Your life doesn't matter. This was a Black Lives Don't Matter ruling because they said that her life was irrelevant, that the life of her boyfriend who was in the apartment with her didn't matter, that he attempting to defend her was the crime. The potential crime was him trying to defend his castle. So the castle doctrine is wiped away when police bust into your home. You don't have the right to defend yourself. Don't have the right to survive. You don't have the right to have medical attention applied to you. These officers don't even have to try to save you. They can just shoot you. That is what I heard in this. Now, it didn't surprise me. I will say I have lost the capacity to be surprised. I'm never surprised anymore because here's the problem. The authority who will decide if your life is worth pursuing a case over is the partner of the police, their partner who works with them to make cases, who works with them every day, who knows them by first name, probably sends them Christmas cards, knows who their kids are, their friend, their partner. The prosecutor will decide if your life matters. And guess what? In 99% of those cases, they will say it doesn't.
Okay, we'll talk about this after the break. I will say that there are some things that she says here that are fair questions, I think. But there's also some comments in here that I think are completely inflammatory and are not a fair representation of what actually happened or our system. But there are fair questions here, fair things that she raises, some things I might be able to find some degree of agreement with. But there's absolutely some other things that I cannot find any agreement with here. She said that this was a Black Lives Don't Matter ruling today. And I want to kind of pick that apart when we get back. Quick time out. You're listening here to the home of conservative, not bitter talk. I'm your host, Todd Huff, back in just a minute.
Is it possible to be a fan of the show if you don't have the gear to prove it? Why not be safe and remove all doubt? Shop for official merchandise at toddhuffshow.com/shop today.
Are you one of the growing number of Hoosiers who are concerned about higher taxes, increased spending, and massive debt? So am I. I'm Donald Rainwater, the Libertarian candidate for governor of the state of Indiana. I believe that all Hoosier businesses provide the necessities of life to their owners and employees, and that all Hoosiers are essential. As your governor, I will safeguard your rights to life, liberty, property, and the pursuit of happiness as defined by you, not the government. To learn more, go to rainwaterforindiana.com. We need better government, not bigger government. My name's Donald Rainwater, and I approve this message. Paid for by Rainwater for Indiana.
The compassion of Christ. It's living life connecting to the broken and messy world. It's not simply walking down the street and dropping a quarter in someone's bucket. It's been perverted by Satan from biblical compassion to feeling sorry for, and sympathy isn't where God wants us to live. It's connecting to broken people in our daily life. Living the compassion of Christ.
Hey Indianapolis, by now you've probably heard about Jody Dowdle with Midwest Tax Group. Jody and his team are experts at helping you prepare your personal or small business tax returns. You can count on Midwest Tax Group to get every deduction possible and work for your higher refund. And not just on this year's taxes, they'll check your prior returns for any tax savings you may have missed for free. Are you behind on filing your returns? They can file past due returns and help negotiate with the IRS too. They complete most tax returns within a week and charge an affordable, flat fee, no hourly billing. And as their client, you can consult with the team at Midwest Tax Group year-round at no charge. Midwest Tax Group has 4 office locations in Castleton, Greenwood, Plainfield, and Greenfield, with evening and weekend appointments available. Schedule your appointment today at 317-288-5260. That's 317-288-5260. Or visit their website at mwtaxgroup.com. Midwest Tax Group can help you more than any piece of software ever could.
Would you like to save 20% or more on your insurance? Let AIA and Avon do a free comparison for you. As an independent agent, we can find savings that fit your needs and budget. We work for you, not the insurance companies. Whether your insurance need is big or small, give AIA a call, 317-718-1747, or find out what we can do for you at AIA4lowrates.com.
Hi, this is Caleb with Gluff Plumbing. Does your home need some plumbing updates? Gluff Plumbing is your solution. We specialize in updating old plumbing, everything from water heaters to well pumps, to underground leaks and everything that has to do with water entering and leaving the home, including water and sewer main excavations. We pride ourselves on old-fashioned customer service. Call Gluff Plumbing at 765-721-6789 or visit gluffplumbing.com. That's GLUFF plumbing.com. Call us today.
The printing industry has changed a lot since we opened for business in 1931, but what our clients expect from us really hasn't changed. Quality print, fast turnaround, and competitive prices. We've learned a lot at Moeller Printing over 86 years and 3 generations. Why not put that experience to work for you? Call 317-353-2224 and mention discount code RADIO to receive 10% off your first order. Call Moeller Printing at 317-353-2224.
All your life, you've planned and taken care of the people you love. They always knew you had a plan. Taking care of your final wishes will give them one final gift. Buying your headstones direct through Thomas Monument saves your loved ones additional stress during a difficult time and saves money by cutting out the middleman. Call 317-244-6525 or go online to thomasmonument.com to understand why families have trusted us since 1962.
Welcome back. So I'm going to look at this really quickly again, what Joy Reid said. In fact, I want to play this and as she's saying this and talk about a couple of the things she's saying here. So again, in referencing what the police did by coming in to the apartment of Breonna Taylor executing a search warrant. This is, and then of course the boyfriend, not knowing it was the police, fires and police return fire. This is what she says that tells us, that this is what the state of the rule of law is in the state of Kentucky.
They're just saying that apartment is associated with someone who was associated with you. So sorry, if they bust in and they start licking off shots and you get killed, your death is irrelevant to the law.
Okay, pause. There's obviously more to it than that. The fact that it's not about whether or not they are at that particular point. It's not about. It was about what happened and what transpired once they were inside that apartment and they were shot at. It wasn't as though the grand jury looked at this and said, the person they were looking for wasn't there or whatever. It was they had a search warrant. You can't hold. This is a complicated issue on a lot of levels, but when you're an officer and you're executing a search warrant and you get shot at, they don't say, well, too bad, you're associated with someone we're looking for, we can shoot you. That's not what this was about. What this was about was they got shot at and they have the right to protect themselves. Now, it's tragic and understandable why Breonna Taylor's boyfriend fired the shot. Certainly, based upon what we know, that's an understandable thing. It's also understandable why police returned fire. And so this is not an accurate depiction of this. This is just not this particular part of what she has to say. She continues here.
State of Kentucky. Your death doesn't matter. Your life doesn't matter. This was a Black Lives Don't Matter ruling.
Okay, pause. It's clear that no one, I guess my question would be, in order to say that her life mattered, is it necessary to say that she was murdered by police? See, I don't see these two things. I understand the argument to a point. It's saying, look, if you think all lives are equal, then all lives should be protected equally by the law. I agree with that. But I haven't mentioned, other than telling you this was about Black Lives Matter, I haven't mentioned the race of anyone. I haven't mentioned the race of anyone because the facts of the case those aren't relevant factors in this particular circumstance. I know that'll upset some people. Bullets are flying. They were shot at. Again, could they have maybe issued a search warrant in a place that it shouldn't have been? Could they have, I don't know, could they have could they have yelled louder, acknowledging that they were the police? I don't know. But it says everything that we now know says that they did announce themselves. They did not do a no-knock raid. You can have questions about no-knock raids. I'd hear that out, actually. I understand that. We want to, folks have a right to know that this sort of thing could be dangerous as it is. I'm not in law enforcement, but I'm sure officers also say if we're at the residence of a known violent offender, then maybe there's reasons to say we should request no-knock raids. I don't want to get into all that, but this is not because the state of Kentucky is saying Black lives don't matter. Her life matters tremendously. What we're talking about now is whether or not a crime was committed, an actual crime. Was she murdered, as some suggest? They call these cops murderers. Or was it a tragic circumstance that was the result of a series of events that included her boyfriend firing upon police? From his own What he's telling us, he didn't know that they were officers. Again, understandable. But to say that they just said, too bad, too sad, you live here, you're associated with someone who we're trying to get evidence, or we're investigating him, trying to stop his drug dealings, whatever. To say that that's how this was handled, I think is so far from reality. There are legitimate questions. There are legitimate concerns. It is tragic, but there's obviously that's not what this was about. That's not what this was about. If there's evidence of that, then it should be made known, and that's a different set of circumstances. But that is not anything that we have. The idea that police were targeting or didn't care to shoot at people because they were black there's no evidence of that. And again, if there is, that's reprehensible, tragic, and that's inexcusable. But that's, again, not what we're talking about here. That's what the narrative, that's what the radicals leading the movement want us to think. So there you go. I just look, this is tragic. Part of being conservative, not bitter here, is look, there is certainly common ground that we have with people who have ideological differences from us. I'm not talking about the radical, unhinged, atheistic wing of the radical left. I'm talking about people who have a different set of experiences, different set of fears, concerns, experiences with law enforcement, whatever. People have different viewpoints, but they're good, decent people. And we can find agreement with those. But I'm telling you, for those who are using this and who are misrepresenting this for political gain, political purposes, mayhem, turmoil, riots, and that sort of thing, inciting that stuff, I don't think they have any interest in healing or what have you. This is something greater. This is something or something else to them. This is something that they use to achieve their political, ideological ends. And that's not, I don't think, most people, but there are people involved in this that are certainly adding fuel to the fire by what they're saying and how they're handling this situation, which is tough for everybody. It's tragic. It's absolutely horrific and sad. But the question is not whether it's sad. The question is whether it was a violation of law. And I'd like to hear Joy Reid say what should have happened inside that apartment, because I don't know that I have an easy answer. I don't think you can make these assessments from a distance. I mean, I think you have to put yourself inside that apartment. And you have to think it through. Again, maybe there needs to be something done with the warrant side. But once that is issued and once you begin the process of carrying out the warrant, I just don't see what else these officers are supposed to do. I don't. And it's tragic and it's sad, and I wish it didn't happen. And I've got to take a break. Switch gears here when we get back. You're listening to the home of conservative, not bitter talk. I'm your host, Todd Huff. Back in just a minute.
Looking to make a conservative, not bitter fashion statement? Check out our apparel online, including brand new items, at toddhuffshow.com/shop today.
If you own a rental property, you know the hassles of marketing, renting, collecting, and the handling of maintenance and repairs. One call to Zuluscape can put an end to your property management headaches. Zuluscape has over 20 years of experience helping landlords throughout central Indiana and taking the stress out of owning a rental. From A to Z, let Zuluscape handle it all so you can enjoy owning a rental instead of hating being a landlord. Give us a call at 317-663-8485 or visit our website at Zuluscape.com.
This is the sound of your typical do-it-yourselfer in completely over his head.
For heating, plumbing,
and electrical done right.
Come, Mr. Quick, Call Mr. Quick. Dial the number, spell the word. For on time.
Warren Homes is expanding their 55-plus community. Briar Creek is the only senior manufactured home community in Indianapolis featuring Indiana-built homes. Floor plans and finishes starting at $75,000. Enjoy affordable, low-maintenance lifestyle with the charm of a residential neighborhood. Located minutes from I-465 in Fort Harrison State Park. Warren Homes, family-owned and operated since 1955. Check us out at COHRONhomes.com. Mention the Todd Huff Show and receive a $1,000 discount on your new home.
Our word can't be diluted because we are taught that a promise is a commitment in which you always follow through. No ifs, ands, or buts. So every time you walk through Greg Hubler Chevrolet doors, you can count on the advice and expertise we provide you. Because when we make a promise, we keep it. Greg Hubler Chevrolet. Promise kept. Visit GregHublerChevy.com. Find new roads.
Anxiety, depression, relationship problems, past trauma. Problems rarely get better when given time. Care to Change Counseling can help. Our professionals combined evidence-based care models with scripture to get you on the path to a productive life. We are here to help you make the changes you need for a healthier, happier you. Take that brave step today. Call Care to Change at 317-790-9396 or visit caretochange.org.
We all know having health insurance doesn't always equal health care. That's why at Freedom HealthWorks, we believe the key to maintaining good health is based on a straightforward, personal relationship with your physician. With our direct doctor-patient relationship model, we remove your healthcare middleman and replace him with transparent pricing and incentive to call your doctor at the first sign of illness. So if you're ready to experience real care from a doctor that really cares about you, go to freedomhealthworks.com and learn more about the benefits of our direct primary care model. Freedom HealthWorks. Be treated better.
What if your bank treated you like a person instead of an account number? What if you could sit across from the person you are opening an account with or requesting a loan from and have an actual conversation? You may be thinking, Todd, that's crazy talk. Well, not at Citizens Bank. Come visit them in Monrovia and meet Nick Gibson, their new branch manager, and the rest of their staff. Or give them a call at 317-831-0110. Citizens Bank is an equal housing lender and member FDIC. Welcome back. Yes, I have also seen and I'm aware of the Hunter Biden situation and what the Senate report is on that. I just don't have the time to get into that today because of our discussion about Breonna Taylor. And look, if this is your first time listening to the program, I have to tell you, this whole thing makes me feel a lot different than normal. You know, normally we're talking about politics, we're talking about Supreme Court justices, Trump filling that seat or whatever it is. But today, when I deliberately, we talk about Black Lives Matter. We talk about, sometimes some of the specifics, but I really don't get into talking about these cases in great detail because there's a lot that goes into knowing the facts. And I've learned, and you know this too, that the facts of the case and what we're told in the first days after an incident happens, those two things are oftentimes not really, sometimes even in the same universe. Sometimes these things are so far apart, what we're told and how they try to fit it into the narrative. And then, so I don't talk about them because I don't often know all the details. I served as a juror on those of you that listen to this program know this. I served as a juror on a case that involved the death of a 5-year-old boy. And maybe part of it's because of that process. You know, at the very beginning, you knew immediately that the individual charged was not a very good person, but that wasn't what we were asked to decide. The question is that individual guilty of the charges that we're specifically alleging? The state was specifically alleging he did. And so this is just, it's not comfortable for me. I don't like to get into this. It's the loss of a young life that is tragic, absolutely tragic. And then you look at all the ensuing, violence and problems that have arisen from this, and it's just, it's easy to see how it's going to be hard to fix this and get past this, these sorts of things, because of the emotions and the sadness and so forth involved. But anyway, gotta take one more break. Come back and wrap up. You're listening to Conservative Not Bitter Talk. I'm your host, Todd Huff. Back in just a minute.
Like what you hear on Todd's show? Why not get more by signing up for Todd's free Semi-Sweet Morsels of Truth newsletter? To subscribe, visit toddhuffshow.com/subscribe or text HUFF to 31996.
Our partner, Global Plasma Solutions, has published ionization testing results that demonstrate a 99.4% reduction rate on a SARS-CoV-2 COVID-19 surface strain within 30 minutes. This is the first instance that an air purification company has effectively neutralized SARS-CoV-2. Commercial Service Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing is installing this solution in businesses and homes in South Central Indiana. Get your free information kit at commercialservice.com/info. Commercial Service, commercial-grade service for your home.
You rely on your vehicle every day. It's not a member of the family, but you spend as much time with it as most family members. You wouldn't take your family to just any doctor, so don't trust your vehicle to just any repair service. At Raymond's Auto and Truck Repair in Plainfield, we have well-trained, caring technicians that have the expertise to get you back on the road. For 25 years, we've been servicing personal, commercial, and fleet vehicles. Give us a call at 317-838-7112 for the car service you deserve.
Did you know that there are 21,000 chimney fires annually? It's one of the reasons why it's so important to have a CSIA certified chimney technician clean and inspect your chimney every year. Keep your family safe by joining our 3-year sweep and inspection plan. And mention Todd to be entered to win $1,000 in cash. Contact Smalling Masonry, a Christian-owned business, at 317-903-8121 to learn more today.
Does your business have a plan for social media marketing? Are you reaching the right audiences through Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and the list goes on? Are you learning from the data? Jarbo can help. Our team doesn't just come in and tell you how to be successful. We help you execute and measure your sales and marketing efforts. Give us a call at 317-834-6560 or visit us online at jarbomarketing.com. That's jarbomarketing.com. Make social media work for you.
Hi, this is Caleb with Gluff Plumbing. Does your home need some plumbing updates? Gluff Plumbing is your solution. We specialize in updating old plumbing, everything from water heaters to well pumps, to underground leaks and everything that has to do with water entering and leaving the home, including water and sewer main excavations. We pride ourselves on old-fashioned customer service. Call Gluff Plumbing at 765-721-6789 or visit gluffplumbing.com. That's GLUFF plumbing.com. Call us today.
Welcome back. Waning moments of the program. Something else I want to get to at some point in this week is the race for governor here in the state of Indiana. Had a listener reach out to me about this yesterday. I had seen this. I just haven't gotten to it. In fact, you'll hear Donald Rainwater's ads on our program. But Rainwater, in this race for governor, according to a poll here from a couple of weeks ago, folks are upset with Holcomb. Holcomb was up, I think, in May. It says 64 to 36% over the Democrat candidate for governor, Woody Myers. But after everything that's happened with COVID and some other problems people have with Governor Holcomb here, things have changed dramatically. In fact, the latest poll shows that Holcomb is at 36. I think it's 36-30 with 24% now in favor of electing Donald Rainwater as governor of the state of Indiana. So talk about that as we move into probably, God willing, tomorrow. But I got to wrap up, guys. Music telling me it's time to wrap up. Thanks for listening. SDGC tomorrow. Take care. As a listener of this program, I have no doubt that you